Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Pandora's Books and today I'll be doing a book haul. Now, the pile of books I've got here, I've been collecting over the past couple months maybe. Basically, like since the autumnal season has started, I've been collecting these books and I've been buying books more than I've been reading them recently, which is not good, but also is good. And so now I've got 18 books to show you. And out of them, I've read like 3 maybe. So if that doesn't tell you what my mindset's been like the past couple months, I don't know what will. I've got 18 books, so let's just get straight into it. The first one is Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match. Now, if you've watched my other videos, you've probably seen me mention this. This was on a TBR, and like I said, I haven't been reading much, so I didn't read this book. It is about the Frankenstein family and how Angelica Frankenstein is struggling to find love, and so she decides to make her own boyfriend. But just as she's made her own boyfriend, she finds this guy and they have a connection. And I think it ends up being some love triangle between her, this real human that she's found, and then the boyfriend that she's created. The next is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. It is about these teenagers who get hired by the FBI to help solve murder cases, serial killer cases. What? And our main character gets pulled into this world and a lot of creepy, scary stuff happens. Spooky, scary skeletons. It is a YA, and if you've seen my recap of this, basically I liked it, but I'm a baby and I got creeped out. The next I've got Assistant to the Villain and Apprentice to the Villain. I think the 3rd book is coming out next year sometime. I have read this book. I've just finished it maybe a week ago, so this will be in an upcoming video, and I'm going to start this book. I'm enjoying it so far. If you don't know what the book is about this girl who becomes an assistant to the villain, if you could not guess. Duh. It is set in this like fairy tale kingdom. It's not very heavy fantasy, and it's basically just like silly, goofy fun. Like, it's not very serious. It's not high fantasy. The stakes aren't, well, the stakes are high, but it's just a fun, quirky book. I assume the 2nd book will continue with that same tone. The romance is not super heavy leading up to, like, by the end of the book, things start happening. So I assume in this book, there's going to be more romance, and I will let you know when I get round to it. The next book is Divine Mortals by Amanda M. Helander. This book, I can't even remember how I found this. I think this is an indie book, but just because of the feeling of the book and how it's been printed. It's the size of a hardcover, but paperback. I think I was just browsing the internet and came across it, but Ava Reid has blurbed it. She said, "You will fall madly in love with this book," and she's the author of A Study in Drowning and Lady Macbeth. This book is set in a magical world full of gods, and our main character, Mona, has this special ability where she can find everyone's soulmate. But she has one rule where she can't find love herself. She doesn't want to fall in love. However, the king is dying without an heir, and so Mona has been tasked with finding the king his soulmate so that, you know, the bloodline can continue. And what happens when she uses her ability to find his soulmate? It turns out she is his soulmate. So it says here, Mona will lie, cheat, and even defy the gods to stay off the throne, but when a mysterious blackmailer threatens murder, confronting her secrets may be the only way to survive. This sounds really interesting. I like the whole premise of she can find out people's soulmates, but she doesn't want one herself. The next book I got was The Crimson Moth. Now, if you've seen my Reading Witch books, this was in that video, and I absolutely love this book. This book is about a witch and witch hunter romance set in a fantasy world, and I don't think you need to know much more about that. Like, you can go into this book not knowing exactly what it is aside from witch and witch hunter. It's amazing. I highly recommend, 5 stars. If there's any books out of this haul that you should get, it's this one.
Yeah, there are jaguars and snakes and quicksand.
I'm not listening.
I'm not kidding. Listen, you cannot go in there.
Still not listening.
The next I've got is Teddy by Emily Dunlay. I saw this in the supermarket and I was really intrigued, and I really like the cover of it. It gives me that old Hollywood glam type vibe. So this book is about Teddy, who in the summer of '69 gets caught on camera with an American ambassador. She's basically trying to get this photograph back before it falls into the wrong hands, before it goes to the presses. And it's essentially just a roller coaster of her trying to keep her reputation intact. It says, Teddy descends into the dark of the underbelly of the city, but is she in over her head? The era, the glamour, Hollywood, it's just everything that I love in a book. So I'm excited to read this as well. The next book I got is The Wedding People by Alan Espach. Alan? The next book I got is The Wedding People by Alison Espach. This book I got my friend to get me while she was in America because I absolutely love the American cover. I actually don't really know what this book is about. I assume it's about a wedding, people at a wedding. So this book is about Phoebe, who goes to this hotel, this inn, because she's always just wanted to go. However, there is a wedding happening at the same time, and she gets mistaken as one of the guests for the wedding. The story follows her and the bride confiding in each other during this whole wedding weekend. The next book I got is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, Wrath of the Triple Goddess, which is the second book in Rick Riordan's third Percy Jackson series. I love Percy Jackson. I read the Percy Jackson books when I was about 13, 14, so 10 years ago now, which is crazy to say.
My God, why?
However, this new series, I read the first book, which was called Chalice of the Gods, and that one felt very low stakes, it felt like nostalgia bait. Honestly, Rick could have probably thought of a better storyline, but the storyline he's chosen is that Percy needs to get references from the gods so that he can attend college. The gods make him do these tasks so that they'll write him a reference letter. And the first book was fine, like it was mid, really. I haven't read this book yet, and I was hoping it would be better, but a friend of mine has read it and she's told me it's just a bit meh. Like, that stakes aren't even high in this one. Apparently, they just house sit and that's it. If it was a bit lazy, which really hurts to say because I absolutely love Percy Jackson. And so I have been putting off reading this because I've heard that it's not that great. But if you haven't read the original Percy Jackson series, I absolutely recommend. I actually just saw the Percy Jackson musical in West End last night, and it was nice to be back in that world again. So maybe I will pick this up. Maybe I'll wait a bit. But yeah. Next I've got is The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery by Gabrielle Zevin. I have heard amazing things about this book. I also specifically wanted to get a different cover than the UK version. So this is an older version that I think my boyfriend found off eBay. For it being used, it is in great condition. Like, it looks like it's barely been touched. So this book is about AJ Fickery, who runs his own bookstore. He's a grumpy man who is going through a hard time at the moment. And one day a 2-year-old lands on the doorstep of his bookshop with a note attached asking him to look after her. It just follows the two of them as they try to figure this all out and figure life out. I have heard this is a sad book. This will make you cry, so I'm waiting for the right moment for me to read this book. I need to be in the mood to be hurt by a book. The next book I've got is The Gods of Love by Nicola Mostyn. This is about Frida, who is a divorce lawyer who is a descendant of the god Eros, who is the god of love, if I remember correctly. But one day, Dan bursts into her office and tells her that she's fated to save the world, that the Greek gods are real, Greek mythology is real, and she's the only one that can save the world. So I feel like this will be a fun and easy read, nothing too serious. Next I got is The Wisdom of Sally Redshoes by Ruth Hogan. This book is about a woman who is going through grieving a rough time in her life, and she ends up running into this extravagant, let's see what they've called her, convent girl turned magician's wife turned 70-something roller disco fanatic. And the two of them bond and work through all their troubles. They open up a new world of possibilities and a chance to start living again. So that sounds like a sweet book. The next I got is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter, which is the sequel to Better Than the Movies. I've been meaning to get round to this, but also it's a thick book. Like, a romance does not need to be this thick.
That's what she said.
It follows the two main characters from Better Than the Movies, Wes and Liz, as they are at college and trying to figure out how to continue their relationship in this new environment. I think what happens is they end up breaking up.
We were on a break!
And then it's Wes just trying to get them back together again, realizing that they made a mistake and they should try again. Next is The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. I have read this book. I did like this book. It is about this woman who dies and gets sent to the afterworld. However, she falls in love with this guy as she's in like the waiting room of the afterworld, if you will. She makes a deal that if she can find this guy back on Earth in 10 days and get him to kiss her, then she can come back to life. She doesn't have to die. So it's following her back on Earth, trying to find this guy that won't remember her and trying to get him to fall in love with her. The next I got is The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. This is about a woman who gets to rewrite a screenplay for her favorite rom-com. However, she has to work with Charlie, a Hollywood legend who has actually written the worst rom-com ever, and he doesn't even believe in love. So they've got to work together to try figure this out because she doesn't want this chance to just blow away in the wind. She wants to create something great. The next book I got is also by Catherine Center. It is Hello Stranger, which is about a portrait artist who gets in an accident and she becomes face blind. So she can't actually recognize people's faces anymore. However, she ends up falling for two different guys at the same time, and it's her trying to navigate which path she should take. Then today I got Small Pleasures by Claire Chambers, which I've been eyeing up for a very long time, and I finally decided to get it. It's set in 1957, following a journalist at a newspaper company who comes across the story of this woman who says her daughter is the creation of a virginal birth. And so she investigates this story to see if it's true or not. And the unexpected happens. That is all that it says. This sounds like a really cool premise. And it was also longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2021. So I'm sure it'll be a great read. And then the final book that I bought is Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood, with these beautiful sprayed edges. It's even got a tiny little cat on there.
Really, the only word for it is...
This book is about Belladonna, who believes her magic to have been dormant. She hasn't really had her magical powers for a very long time, but upon her 30th birthday, she gets summoned by the Coven, who tell her she's at risk of losing her magic. And so she has to prove her worthiness and also fight some dark forces that are working against her so that she can protect herself and keep her magic. I assume this book will be following her relearning how to be a witch. And yeah, it's described as an autumnal, cozy fantasy. I'm sure this will be a really cool book. Also, it's just so cute. Like, look at that cover, and the sprayed edges just amazing. So yeah, that's all the books that I have gotten. That's 18 books, which is a lot, considering I have not read a lot recently, but that's okay. That means I have more choice to pick over when I need something to read. So if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, do all those fun YouTube things, and I shall see you next time, hopefully with a reading vlog rather than more books, but also Christmas is coming up, so.